Well, let's move to matters royal now. A very big moment as King Charles goes to Rome and prays with the Pope. Let's get reaction from a man who knows King Charles intimately well, the former Royal Butler Grant Harrold. Hello, Grant.
Good morning.
Grant, first of all, this is a significant moment, isn't it, for the monarch and the pontiff to worship together?
It really is. I mean, do you know, I think it's been said it's over 500 years now. From my little bit of going back to my knowledge of history, I think it goes back to the time of Charles I, you know, where obviously due to religion, we almost, we did lose the monarchy. And then, you know, Charles II brought it back. So it's always been a very, can I say, a bit of a tricky subject when it comes to the monarchy and religion. But it shows you how much times have thankfully moved on. And, you know, obviously Queen Camilla is a Catholic. That was a huge thing, obviously, when they got married. That, I don't know if you remember, that was one of the kind of discussions about divorcee and Catholic and everything.
Sure.
And what's great is it shows you the kind of man the king is, because he's a very, very, even though he's very traditional, as we know, he's very modern in his approach to things. This is a perfect example by doing this.
Do you think that the issues around his brother Prince Andrew have tested his faith?
I think they would test anyone's faith, to be honest with you. I really feel for him because, like his mother, he is a family man. He's, you know, family is a very big part of his life. But also, like his mother, the monarchy is everything. And what I mean by that is he will see it as his job to protect it and to ensure that it carries on and it's passed on to his son. Obviously, with what's happened with Prince Andrew is not the kind of what's even the palace has said, I believe. You know, they want to move away, not move away, but they want to focus on the work that the royal family do from the positive kind of side of things. And I think this is where it's very tricky for the king, because he's trying to get it right. He's still obviously fighting cancer. He's trying to do the right thing, and then there's all these setbacks that seem to keep it's extraordinary when you think about what's happened in his short reign so far. And, you know, the late Queen, thankfully, had a reign where, you know, things obviously happened and things went wrong. But, I mean, the king seems to be getting everything thrown at him just now.
Most definitely. He waited so long to become monarch, and he's been presented with so many problems, not of his making, Grant. As you said, overall, he's a decent man. You've written an amazing book, which has become an instant bestseller. It's called The Royal Butler, My Remarkable Life in Royal Service. What was your perception of Prince Andrew at the time when you were in the palace?
You know, just quick to mention that, it's really interesting. A lot of people have actually said to me, what's been nice is getting to hear about the family. We all think we know the family, even I did as a youngster, watching the documentaries and things about them. But it's interesting getting people's views, saying how it's given them a positive, I'll quickly add a positive insight into what they're like. Prince Andrew, see, what I remember, I didn't have very much to do with him, but what I do remember, he wasn't rude to me. I will make that very clear, but he was also a little bit dismissive. And what I mean by that was, it was almost like you're there as a butler, you're there as a staff member.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of feeling I got. I said he was very polite. He wasn't rude in any kind of way, but it was very dismissive. And he was the only family member that was like that. And when I discussed it with other colleagues at the time, they said, well, that's what he's like, that's him. And I've never really had any, it's very sad, I've never had any kind of positive feedback from when you speak to other staff members, even now, when you can have conversations, and never anything very positive, which is sad, because, you know, I don't really understand why he's like that. And I don't know, maybe it's just his upbringing, maybe it's I don't know. You never really know. And an interesting comment I saw the other day is somebody was talking about his mental health, and quite rightly, and I know of course it's awful and it's wrong what he's done, or what we think he's done. But at the end of the day, he's still a human being. He does have mental health, and this will absolutely, so I do feel for him on that side, because knowing people that have suffered mental health and how things, you know, even through our own doing, how it can affect you, that's the only thing that's a little bit worrying, because I think that's the thing we all forget, is he is a human being, and sadly, we do make mistakes. Humans make mistakes.
Most definitely, and actually that sort of chimes with a very good piece by Annabel Denham in The Telegraph this week. Am I the only one feeling sorry for Prince Andrew? He's clearly a man of poor judgment. As you mentioned, he's quite haughty, quite dismissive of those serving him in a capacity such as a butler. But in the end, as you say, he's a human being and he'll be in a dark place at the moment. Do you think there's a bit too much of a freedom frenzy around this man, given that he's been convicted of no crime?
Well, this is the thing. He hasn't been convicted. It's a really difficult one, Matt, because, you know, everyone looks at him and kind of, do you know what I think it is? I think it goes back to that interview, and where obviously, you know, there's a lot of kind of evidence to say that he wasn't being, well, very obvious evidence that he wasn't being kind of truthful. And that's what people, and they're hearing all these kind of negative things. And it's making this kind of, you know, people kind of now hating on him because of it. And I think that's the problem. And as I said, I don't, and you know, I think it's, if there's any, you know, the evidence that's coming out is awful. And if he is convicted, of course, that would be horrendous. But all I'm trying to say is that, you know, it's that thing where you're innocent until proven guilty, even though it does look, it's not looking good at all. But I think from a mental health point of view, you know, I think that's why his mother was so protective of him, because he's been brought up in a very, can I say, a very interesting world. That's how I word it. It's not the kind of royal family, the world that they're brought up in it's very different. And I think that can affect, I think, of course, it can affect people. I really do. And I think maybe, you know, the time that he was brought up, it was a very different royal family. Maybe nobody ever said no. That's a possibility, and sadly, it's kind of made the person that he is. But you know, I do feel sorry, but at the same time, I'm sure he's probably thinking, why did I ever do or say the things that I did?
Now, of course, Andrew can never cease to be the brother of King Charles. He's a family member. Blood is thicker than water. We know that, Grant Harrold. You've got a black sheep in every family. I might be the black sheep of my family. Who knows? You'll have to ask my siblings and my dear mother. But there are other levers that King Charles can pull. And one would be a letters patent, an act of Parliament, which removes the Duke of York title officially and, of course, strips him of the title Prince. Do you think that we might wind up in that place at a certain point?
Do you know, at the moment, no, because what he's done is shown that obviously he realised the seriousness of what's going on by not using those titles, which, and again, I've noticed a lot of comments, quite rightly, from the people of York. You know, there's a lot of strong feeling up there about this, which you can understand. Now, if things, can I say, continue to go south for him and there's more evidence and this kind of thing, then I think that will be a discussion. I really do, because Queen Elizabeth changed the letters patent for her great-grandchildren. George V was the one that obviously made it accessible to grandchildren. So royals have got the power of doing it. It's an act of Parliament to change it. It's not impossible. But then, Matt, that then opens up the question, because if they're going to start changing the patent, which is HRH, are they then going to look at other family members, without giving any names just now, but are they going to look at other family members?
Anyone living in California, for example?
Well, I don't see them doing this. I think if they're going to do it, I think rather than just pick one person, there might be some new law or rule to do with letters patent that's brought in. For example, if you're not working as a member of the royal family, you don't have them. There could be something they could be working on behind the scenes, which could therefore see, even if you've not found guilt or anything, it could just be the way forward. Because remember, William wants to make the royal family smaller, and I think he would be behind something like that, definitely, of making the royal family not only smaller, but also limiting who can call themselves HRH.
Well, that might be a politically convenient way of dealing with the Harry problem, because if you had a sort of blanket ban on anyone that wasn't a serving royal from having the prince or princess title, then you know, it wouldn't look like he was victimising any one individual, but clearly Harry would be Harry would be suffering the consequences. I'm not sure he'd enjoy being Harry Mountbatten Windsor, but that's another story. And what about the other issue for the King and Andrew, which is the optics of Andrew living in the 30-room Royal Lodge, which is pretty close by to what we understand to be Prince William's forever home, the Forest Lodge, pretty nearby. Yes. You can't really have a future King of the United Kingdom living in a smaller house than his disgraced uncle.
No, and just go back quickly to the Harry thing. When you mentioned Mountbatten Windsor, I wonder if it'll be Harry Markle, but we'll come back to that.
Wow, Harry Markle. Well, we know Meghan would like that. That would be the ultimate victory, wouldn't it?
Well, you know, some husbands do take the wives' names.
That's genius.
I was going to quickly say Royal Lodge. You're quite right. It's a huge house. The tricky part is, Matt, that it's putting aside everything that's going on, which, you know, I'm not trying to put it aside, but just looking at the facts. The lease that was done, like if you lease a house, anyone leases a house, you can obviously get long lets. And I believe his is, and this is a guess, I think it was 75 years or something at the time, which goes on maybe to 2075, maybe that's what it was. But it's obviously throughout his lifetime. And it's a peppercorn rent, which is basically, for all we know, it could even be £1. It could be that simple.
Yeah.
And this is what everyone's trying to find out is what is the deal that's been done? Because they're saying he shouldn't have that deal. This is a really tricky one because to my mind, this is completely set. This is to do with his living, his expenses, what he spends money on. It's up to him where he rents. It's up to him, or it's up to the landlords what they charge him. I doubt, Wayne probably feels that a peppercorn rent isn't probably fair, but then that was something that was done in the time of his grandmother. And I don't know, again, how easy is that to change. But you're right. I think there's a lot of people going to be questioning why a future king is living in a smaller residence where his uncle is in this massive house. So it's possible that again, you might find that he might decide to give it up and move into something smaller. Who knows? I mean, at the moment, the future for him is so, kind of bleak, and it's not getting any better.
It most definitely isn't. Grant Harrold's book is called The Royal Butler, My Remarkable Life in Royal Service. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you, Mark. Take care.
Brilliant stuff. Are you sympathetic to the king? How do you solve a problem like Prince Andrew? I don't think it's appropriate that he's a prince, because when you call someone prince, you are showing them respect. It's a venerated title. Surely he doesn't deserve that.